If I was Kendrick Lamar and I just won my beef in 2024 against Drake by dragging him through the mud, there's a few cars that would come to mind to commemorate that from the era that I was born. Maybe I could get something like a Ferrari F40, a Porsche 911, or I could buy the car that was faster than them both. A car that came to us from the cousin that we kind of all forgot about in the car domestic world, Buick, the GNX. 276 horsepower. When it initially came out, it was 0.3 seconds faster in a quarter mile than the Ferrari F40. It is probably the most prettiest car ever conceived by Buick ever. And the one behind me, built by the Ringbrothers, has 4.5 times the original horsepower. And in today's episode of Owner Spec, you and I are gonna drive it.
I need to be honest with you, there's really not too much in Wisconsin. Cheese, beer, and cows are understandable stereotypes because all three are the only things you'd probably find if you were heading to the Ringbrothers shop in Spring Green, Wisconsin, because it has a population of 1,500 people.
Technically speaking, that's one person per 1 horsepower that this one car has. Now, we're not here to talk about the original GNX, even though I love the story. We're here to talk about what the Ringbrothers did to this one here. Dubbed the Invader, right now it's running on 1,243 horsepower, but the motor can take up to more boost, which will give it up to 2,000 horsepower. That's all meant to make sure that the 345 Michelin Sport Cup 2 tires in the rear get a good amount of exercise if they can get up to temperature. We're not going to drive this at 2,000 horsepower, but we are going to talk about all the work it took to make it possible, because it kind of defies logic.
It took the Ringbrothers 4,900 hours to build this car. It looks just like a normal Grand National, but the chassis is a custom Roadster Shop Fast Track Stage 3, which means it's wider, fatter, and scarier. This was a car from SEMA 2024, where it won a few billion awards, and it's easy to see why. The Ringbrothers aren't slouches with their cars, like ever. Last year, they debuted Octavia at the Quail, which is an Aston Martin, and it's pretty much soul only. Now, you probably don't remember, but neither do I. The Grand National did not come with some unruly V8 under the hood that you would expect. And originally, the story goes like this. There was a man by the name of Don Baker who wanted to help the next generation of car enthusiasts build absolute piss missiles. So what he did was borrow an engine from a Buick Regal and tune it up. The only problem with that was that Don wasn't ready for how well the motor took to it all. Years passed, and the eventual V6 turned into a turbocharged engine and thrown into this, the 1987 Buick Grand National. A car so out of Buick's world that by the end of it, when they made the GNX, they asked McLaren Motors to help finish the car because they couldn't tune it. Even McLaren tried tuning the car, but couldn't quite figure it out, which is very McLaren of them. So the rumor goes that Gabe Poplowski, whose name is not actually Gabe, but Jim, handed McLaren Motors his own personal tune for his GNX, and turns out it was perfect. But this isn't a GNX. This is a Grand National, and there might be a few times where I get that wrong in this video, in which case you're welcome to slap me if you want. I'm sure the Ringbrothers are already throwing their chanclas at me.
I am riding on these back road, little paved areas, and I can already feel those Penske shocks doing so much for this car. This thing was wicked fast back in the day. I've never driven a GNX, so this is my only reference point. But it is insane. Now, the car sits anywhere between spring boost and about 50 pounds. It was built by a shop, the Dahlheiner? Built by one of the most iconic shops for this engine. Doesn't skip a beat. 345 30 R20 Sport Cup 2 tires in the rear, HRE wheels, beautiful tune. Everything feels incredible. The seats are even incredible. This full roll cage, don't even notice it. The brakes are lovely. The car feels like it should have body roll, but it doesn't. It just feels so good. We're leaving the cameraman behind, but I don't care. The fact that this car is built 2.5 hours away from us in Appleton, Wisconsin is so cool to me, because everybody goes West Coast, East Coast for car builds. Everybody thinks you have to live in LA to see cool cars, to experience something that's different. And I'm sitting in a car that Kendrick made a surprise album about that can go up to 2,000 horsepower, and it was built by some brothers in a shop at probably one of the most iconic, like, hot rod shops in the United States, if not the world. My goodness. Just the slightest sound boost. Let me tell you what. This is the fastest car I've ever driven, hands down. And it's probably the most well-built version of a car like this I've ever seen in my entire life. I just want to keep shifting it. I feel like I'm in Fast and the Furious. I just want to keep playing with this shift knob. It is just tantalizingly fun. I don't have the budget for a Ringbrothers build, but I see why so many people, why Jay Leno, why all of these guys love the cars that the Ringbrothers build. Insane. You might think the Ringbrothers are a massive company too. They're not. They're a small team with a lot of family. And walking through and talking to Nancy and talking to the Ringbrothers and talking to the staff that are there, they're all just good people. You would love to be able to check out that shop. If it's anything, it's an inspiration. I've been able to drive this car for about an hour now, and I can confidently say I want one really bad. It could be because we're driving in the back roads of Wisconsin, not California, not Texas, not any of those other fancy places, and it's almost refreshing. It's like the car doesn't belong back here. The roads are gorgeous, but the fact that we're out here all by ourselves is just lovely.
Which, by the way, maybe if you're not all in on a 1,200 horsepower build, or maybe you snag some parts from the Ringbrothers, but now you're looking for a wheel and tire package for your car, you can actually head on over to Martiniworks.com. It's a place where you can enter in your year, make, and model, and you'll see thousands of properly good parts because they've all been tested by our team right here in Wisconsin. Getting them packaged together and shipped to your door on a pallet at the lowest price possible in the industry, guaranteed. And if you check out with Catapult, we'll give you 2% back on your cart, all the way up to $70 as a way of saying thank you.
I think the first question that's most important to ask the brothers of this incredible company is, why did you not move out of Wisconsin? Why stay in this tiny town?
For me, it was a matter of getting back to this tiny town. It's like I just want to raise my kids in the small town and where we grew up in Plain, Wisconsin. And Spring Green was the metropolis. This is the home of the high school. So we thought we did move to big time when we moved to Spring Green. So
Have you been here this whole time then? Did you move out of the state?
No, actually, I was in Denver for a while, and then I moved back to Chicago, and I knew I didn't want to raise my kids in Chicago.
Yeah.
And
Fair.
pretty much, yeah, come back and started this, and it's been a long road.
I mean, you guys have like awards and records with SEMA and all the hot rod things that you possibly could. I've seen you had the Octavia, you have the Invader, you have projects here that are in progress that have been. Has there been a certain project that has like really stood out to you as something special that maybe kind of sits in the back pocket as one of your favorites? Maybe not the best, but one of your favorites?
You know, I think every one, believe it or not, is your favorite when you start them. I think, you know, you're so excited to build another one. So I think you always have that same excitement that this next one's going to be the ultimate, you hope. And
Yeah.
I just get that excitement every time we start a different one.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's a lot of different vehicles. Obviously, I don't know how to pick a favorite. I think the Aston Martin we did was a pretty cool car.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I guess I'm an old school Mustang guy. It was really one of the first cars that we kind of did together, and it was pretty exciting. It was 65.
Okay.
But
You
I always
like
had,
the producer.
yeah, I always had passion for. There was an old car called Producer. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but
No.
it was a pretty cool car in its day. And if I could have one old one in my garage, it'd probably be that car.
Okay. Now, you guys have like the Camaros, I've seen the Chargers, mostly domestic stuff. I think the Aston Martin build Octavia was kind of outside of the domestic typically. Is there a car out there that like maybe has been outside of the Ringbrothers mold that you'd like to poke at once in your life?
For me, I've always kind of been a little Japanese. You know, Jim rolled and totaled my sister's 280Z on prom night.
He didn't let it go.
Before prom.
He didn't let it go.
No, I was in the Navy. Actually, my sister was with me in Las Vegas. We had taken her mom. I was in the Navy, and Jim rolled her car and put it in a ball while she was in Vegas. But those are cool cars. And you know, when you get bit with a car at a young age, the Japanese cars, there's a lot. You know, I think what's good about us is we really don't know a lot about European or Japanese cars. You grew up in the Midwest, and that's really, I mean, everybody drove American, and it's kind of what we grew up on and knowing. But knowing all these other cars, I think the Renaults are cool. You know, there's just some freaks out there that you'd always love to do. But I just think one that you haven't done is it's so creative. Like the Aston to us was so creative to like, I'd never seen a DBS. They had no idea what it was. And I think it's kind of easier in one way to, when you see a car for the first time, to say it's cool, but, and just kind of run with that. Where the American cars, I think we've done a lot of them.
Yeah, you almost have like a preconceived notion on what it could be, so there's not as much like excitement, not excitement, but creativity.
So cars that you've never seen, and you first look at it and go, oh, it's really flat-sided. You know, it needs some hips, it needs this. You know, I think that's fun for us.
Yeah. What about you? Besides the 280Z that he owes you?
Obviously, that Aston Martin started out with a guy wanted to build a car. And he said, I said, what do you want to build? And he said, what do you want to build? And I said, anything besides a Camaro or a Mustang, and that's how that car come about. But yeah, I think the European stuff is pretty cool. There's a lot of different ones out there, a lot of ugly ducklings. You know, we've never done this is not European, but an AMC Pacer.
Oh, sure, yeah.
They, Jensen, you know, or something fun.
I would love to see you guys with like a Datsun 240Z, like Series 1, just see what you could do with that. To me, that's one of like the most timeless looking Japanese cars of all time.
Then you're on the edge of people going, you ruin them. I mean, that's, you know, you always have the haters, but you know, if you're not.
I ruined one, so I already ruined one.
Did you?
It was upside down.
So the last thing I have to ask, just real quick, I mean, thank you for letting me drive this car. This is my first interaction of driving a GNX ever in my life. I've never driven one before. GN. When you guys get done with something like this and you're kind of hanging out with it after, is there a certain part of this build that you like more than anything else? Was there something special to it for you guys?
For me, I think the Owner staying true to the V6. At first, I was like, but to me, it's probably the drivetrain, the V6 and Kenny Duttweiler, who I honestly didn't know, but I didn't realize he was the V6 god. odd.
Yeah.
I mean, because you tell people it's got 1,200 and capable of 2,000. Most people say I call bullshit. But when they hear Kenny Duttweiler built it, then nobody's ever questioned it. So
Okay.
for him to stick with a V6, I think that's what really is what's special to me about this car.
That's so
I
cool.
heard somebody at one time say that if you put a LS or a V8 in a Grand National, it's just a Regal.
True. I think it's a sin. I think it's a cardinal sin. You go on Sunday, you talk about what you didn't do right, then you say you put a V8 in a Grand National.
No, we're guilty of putting the wrong motor in a few different cars, but Jay Leno called us out on it. So
Yeah. I heard you guys are close with Jay, so very cool. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity. Thanks for letting me drive the car. I think my expectation of the Grand National is up here now. I don't think I can drive another one ever again in my life because this is the one that I chose to start off with, so I don't want to ruin it for any future cars.
You know, what's funny is Jim and I were long gone out of high school before these cars came out. You know.
Yeah.
So there was something special about these cars that even our age and still today and the young generation to the rappers, this car really affects a lot of people. But yet, you said it earlier, they're really just a box.
Yeah.
Like you fold it up and Chris made a lot of it on a break. You know, they're just so edgy, but just something super American cool about it.
Kendrick Lamar would be very proud of the Grand National that you guys built, guaranteed. When he gets in his car, which is not as cool as this car, I think he assumes that his looks like this one right here. It's guaranteed. It's guaranteed. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it, sir. Thanks for the day. It means the world.
got it.
Thank you.